Interstate 75, April 1981. A ditch. A woman, face down, a fringed jacket. Nothing else to identify her. For 38 years, that was all anyone knew. The Midnight Paradigm. No name. For 38 years, no one claimed her. We re-examined the evidence. Tonight, what DNA finally revealed. A trucker found her. She had been beaten once. The jacket gave her a name, not her own. Every database available in 1981 came back empty. No surveillance. Her fingerprints matched nothing. No missing persons report existed. Miami County investigators worked the case hard. They were experienced. The autopsy was thorough. The forensic science of 1981 wasn't. DNA profiling would not be invented for another 3 years. Every technique available was used. None of it was enough. She was buried in an unmarked plot. BCI preserved samples. What strikes us, reviewing the original case, they saved everything. Tissue samples, hair, clothing fibers, all sealed, cataloged, preserved. They preserved samples for a technology that didn't yet exist. Marcia King was 21 years old when she was killed. From Springfield, Missouri, hitchhiking through the Midwest. Her family had no report, a disappearance with no record, and 1,981 reporting missing required a physical police visit. Young women between states fell through cracks of that system. Not always by neglect, sometimes by circumstance, sometimes by design. Marcia had people who loved her. The record is silent. We will not speculate. The evidence speaks when it can. Through the 80s, the case file accumulated dust, classified, cold. Investigators retired. The trail went cold. Cases do that. DNA testing arrived in the 90s. The sample wasn't enough. The early 2000s brought new databases. Still nothing matched. What was coming was a different kind of science entirely. David Middleman founded Othram in 2018 with one purpose: solve the cases that conventional DNA cannot touch. His platform, Forensic-Grade Genome Sequencing, FGGS. FGGS reads degraded samples that standard methods cannot sequence. 0.1 nanograms of DNA, that is the threshold. Ohio BCI's 40-year-old sample cleared that threshold. Barely. The profile generated was incomplete, but it was enough. Othram's genealogists uploaded the profile to GEDmatch. GEDmatch holds voluntary uploads from consumer ancestry tests. Millions uploaded to find cousins. They found something else. The match came back, 4th degree, a distant cousin. From that distant match, genealogists began to build a tree, working backwards through public records, county archives, census data. The method is called investigative genetic genealogy. The Golden State Killer was named this way months earlier. Investigators understood every cold case with DNA was solvable. Miami County contacted Othram. The sample was sent to Houston. The case had waited nearly 4 decades for this shipment. So why trust a new lab? No other alibi remained. Their options were exhausted. There was nothing left to lose. Meanwhile, the GEDmatch analysis was already in motion. The 4th degree match had 3 siblings. Each had children. Each child had a story, records, locations, timelines. They were narrowing the tree, branch by branch. Here's what the Othram case file revealed to us. 8 potential family lines. 7 were eliminated within days. The 8th required field verification. Investigators flew to Missouri. In Springfield, a family remembered a young woman leaving. She had left in 1981. They assumed she'd found footing. The assumption is understandable. The outcome is devastating. Investigators asked for a family DNA sample. It was provided. The comparison was made between family sample and Ohio profile. According to Othram's methodology report, the match was conclusive. The woman in the ditch finally had a name. Marcia Lenore King, 21 years old, from Springfield, Missouri. For 38 years, her family carried the wound. Now they knew. The wound changed shape, not closed. The technology that named her didn't exist when she died. DNA profiling was invented 3 years after her murder. Consider what that timeline means for evidence sitting in storage. FGGS reads degraded samples that standard methods cannot sequence. They uploaded the profile to GED match. Distant cousins answered. A tree built from strangers led to one name. This is what forensic paradigm shift actually looks like. Not a single dramatic moment, a slow accumulation of capability. The Human Genome Project completed in 2003. The template existed. Commercial ancestry tests emerged. Millions uploaded genetic data voluntarily. In 2018, GED Match named the Golden State Killer. The precedent was established. Law enforcement had a new tool. Within months, Othram applied the same methodology to Marcia King, but the privacy implications of GED Match had already generated debate. Those who uploaded for cousins hadn't consented to law enforcement. GED Match changed its policy in May 2019, requiring opt-in. The Buckskin Girl ID was finished before that policy change. This case couldn't exist 1 year later. Timing was narrow. We regard that as achievement and a warning. Marcia King's identification was announced in April 2019. 38 years, 1 month, 11 days after discovery. The headline, Miami County had waited 4 decades to write. Investigators held a press conference. They spoke her name publicly. Marcia King, not Buckskin Girl, Marcia King. The identification was a breakthrough. Her murder, no confession yet. Law enforcement appealed for witnesses to her final weeks. Witnesses recalled a woman matching her description, hitchhiking. No suspect has ever been identified. The murder remains open. What investigators have? A name, 44 years of silence. Whoever killed Marcia King has not been found, possibly alive. The investigation continues. Othram, over 300 cases resolved. Each case was once called impossible, the word lost meaning. So what does the Buckskin Girl case actually teach us? First, evidence preservation changes what is possible for generations ahead. They preserved what they couldn't solve, for those who could. Second, private sector now drives cold case identification. Othram, Parabon Nanolabs, these are not government agencies. Their work depends on database access that legislation is restricting. Third, the privacy debate is real. Investigators must engage it. Those whose DNA named her had not consented to it. They found what they found, whether they should, unsettled. The part that still keeps investigators working in 2026. Marcia has a name. Her killer does not. Asymmetry. Marcia King was 21. Nobody reported her missing. Why? In 1981, reporting required a physical police station visit. Young women hitchhiking fell through the gap, deliberately or not. NAMUS estimates 12,000 unidentified remains in the U.S. today. Most are women. Most never reported missing. Not coincidence. Marcia had a family. The system didn't know to look. The identification required a private laboratory, not a government one. That gap reflects a shortfall in public forensic science funding. Innocence Project, 375 wrongful convictions overturned by DNA. In 69% of those cases, eyewitness misidentification was a factor. The Buckskin Girl case had no witness, only a sample. That sample was enough. Implications extend far beyond this. Across the U.S., thousands of preserved samples remain unsequenced. Each represents a case standard methods failed, now potentially solvable. The question is not whether the science can. It can. The question, will law permit it? Will funding follow? Whether the privacy debate resolves before more evidence degrades. Evidence does not wait for legal resolution. Biological material degrades. The Buckskin Girl's sample cleared the threshold in 2019. Barely. A decade later, it may not have. This is what the case shows about forensic science today. Capability advances faster than policy. Investigators navigate the gap. Some cases fall into the gap between science and law. The other place, 300 cases now named, thousands still waiting. Marcia's family knows who she was. Her killer remains free. Were you in Ohio in 981? Did you see her? Miami County Sheriff's Office maintains an active tip line. Marcia waited 38 years for her name. The killer shouldn't. What we know, the science that named her, keeps advancing. Next-generation sequencing platforms are extending the capability further every year. Cases failing 2019 thresholds may clear future ones by 2029. This is forensic paradigm shift across decades of cases. The science is not finished. The cases are not finished. Marcia King, unnamed 38 years, was not finished. She has a name. Her story continues. Othram's full methodology documentation is publicly available online. The NAMU's database is publicly searchable. 12,000 cases wait. If this case prompted a question, case file below. Cold case, technology, privacy debate. Where do you stand? Case file in the description. Subscribe. Next case Friday.